Sorry guys, I'm just trying to record the session. Okay, I'll go ahead now, share my screen with you guys, and we'll continue from here. So once you can see my screen, let me know. Okay. Okay. Kindly let me know if my screen is visible. Just yes, if you can see my screen, just tap yes. Great. Okay. So let's start. So we're going to continue from tables. So let me do away with all this. And so I didn't ask you, Miracle, how did you find, were you able to link your external CSS file?
Yes, I linked it, sir.
Okay, great. All right, so let's continue from table. Table will come in handy for you once in a while when you're building your website. So you need the knowledge to know how to handle it when you have to do with table. I recently work on a project that were just stable because of the kind of association, the company I did the job for. All right, so like we said yesterday, when building tables, you have to know that tables come in column and in rows. They come in rows, and they also come in columns. So like we said yesterday, if we have a table like this, I want to put data inside. So here, this is our table. So let me just say we do this again, table, right? So inside the table, we want to have our data inside the table. So first, we'll have our TRO, and inside our TRO, we're going to have our table data, and that's the table header first. Table data, table header th. All right. So here we can just put the header. So let's say we want to get the first name, last name, and the phone number of applicants in a tabular format. So here we just say first name. All right. And then here we say last name. And here we'll say phone number or telephone. Okay. So the next thing we'll do is to enter the data. So here we'll just give it TD, which is table data, and first name. Let's say first name. Let's start with Miracle. Last name. So we're trying to fill the table based on these details we have here. First name Miracle. Last name. Let's just give it code D. And then let's get Miracle's phone number to be 0805461, something like that. Okay, so now we've got data for Miracle. Let's also get data for Prosper. you are going to have your data in between the opening tag of TRO and the closing tag of TRO is where you include your data. All right, so you can see here between the opening and closing tag of TRO is where we'll have our table header, right? Here, while filling the data between the opening and the closing tag is where we'll have the first data for our header. So here we want to collect the second data. All right. So TD, first name, Prosper. TD, second name. TD, phone number 0906. Okay, something like that. So that's okay for now. So let's save, Ctrl S to save, and let's go to, okay. So here we have first name to be Miracle, first name here is Prosper, last name Goddy, last name is Johnson, and then we'll have their phone numbers. Okay. Now looking at this table, that table just look, some kind of way because there's no form of CSS attached to our table, right? It just look some kind of way. But we can try and see how we can, make our table look a bit better. So let's go to our table, our HTML, and let's use the style tag here that's the internal styling tag. So here we will just pick table. We'll pick table. We'll pick table header. So this is how you can combine different elements in CSS, but not to bother, we'll get to that pretty soon. Okay, so here I just want to give it a border style. I want to give it a border style, and I'll give it border style and say 1 PS solid, let's say solid whites because of the blue we have there. All right. Before then, do I have anything here? Okay, nothing. Ctrl S. I want to remove that blue. So if that is the case, then let's use solid black. Okay. 1 pieces solid black. So save. What I want to do is to come to table. Inside the table, I want to just give it a table style because I want to increase the width. So here I will do inline styling here, and here I will put the width. I just want to increase the width, and I want to make the width 100%. So let's save, and then let's go to great. So you see that our table is looking better because now we've added a bit of CSS to it. All right, same details, but looking a bit better because we've added CSS to it. So you see, we have borders now, and then we have the width span from left to right. Okay, so that's basically how you can have your table in CSS, done perfectly in CSS. But let's go ahead. I am taking this very slow because I want us to get this. Table can be a bit confusing, so I'm trying the best I can to make sure that I pass the necessary information you need. So let's go back to our code base. Let's say we reduce this from 100% to, let's say, 70%, and see how it's going to look like. So here we see it's looking this way. So, because of course we didn't include padding. So because we didn't include padding, then it's looking just the way it's looking right now because there's no padding. So if we give it a bit of padding, then it will change the look and feel. So we can pad it from the left so that it can shift to the middle, or we can just center align it. All right, we can just center align it and then it will just align. But we'll get there when we start doing very serious CSS. Okay, so let's move on. Another thing I want us to look at under tables is to look at how we can collapse our borders. So if you look at these borders, you see that it's giving us double borders, right? It's giving us double borders here. And still, that is also the work of CSS. It's giving us double borders. But what if we just want to have a single border, not double borders? We want the borders to be single. So let's go ahead and do that. To look like a proper table, if you look at it, it's not looking like a proper table. But I want us to have a border in such a way that it will look like a proper table, okay? Okay, so I thought someone was trying to join. Okay, so what we'll do now is to include just something here in our CSS to give us single border so that it will look like a proper table. So what we're going to give it, we'll go to say border collapse, and then we're going to say collapse. So border collapse, I'm going to say collapse. So let's go to our code and refresh. Now you see that we have collapsed the border, so we'll have our border looking this way and looking really beautiful. I am trying to hold myself back from styling this thing so much because we are going to dive into CSS pretty soon. So I want us to get just the basics in HTML. Then we'll get to CSS, then we can do a whole lot of this styling, right? So I'm just trying the best I can to hold because it's not looking really beautiful in my eyes. So let me share why I say it's not looking beautiful. It feels like, okay, so I'm working on a particular project. So let me just share. So the church ministry.com. So this is the website I'm working on presently. So once you see it, you know that it's still under construction. But I want you to see something. Yeah, so it's a website I'm working on right now. It's not responsive yet, so the mobile version, if you open it on your mobile phone, it doesn't look beautiful. And I still have a few. So you see like this guy here, is cutting out. So I still have a few, 1 or 2 things I need to work on the website. But you see, this is looking beautiful as compared to what we have right now. So, but I'm just trying to hold myself back from this CSS stuff because we are really going to get into it full time pretty soon. We'll get into it pretty soon full time. So this is just what I have here for now on the website. Okay, so it's a church in the UK that we're trying to do a project for them. All right. So I'm just trying to show this so that you know that you get to where you can do all this using CSS. But for now, I want us to get the building blocks. I want us to get the basis with HTML. Okay. So let's move on pretty fast. And The next thing I want us to see is just to include maybe background color. So let's see if we can include background color. So what I will do here is I will style from here. I will style just the table header and table data, and then I'll give it a background color, and let's give it aqua. So look at this, guys. You see here our styling we combine table header, we combine table data, the three of them, and then we style them together. But you can still pick one and style it differently, pick another one and style it differently. For instance, if I don't want to combine the table header and table data, so let's see this first, then I will just style them separately and see how it looks like. So if we refresh now we'll have something like this. Okay, but what I want now is to give the header a different color and give the data a different color. So that is also possible. So how do we do that? So let's just say the header, we want to give it. All right, so that's for table header. And let's give table data, let's give it a different background color. So background color, let's give it let's just give it this. Okay, let's see how the brown will look like. It will look like Miracle's work. Okay, so so we have something like this. So you can separate them and give them different styling, give your table different styling. And one thing I like to do is that, for me personally, I like to excuse me, I like to test things out. So you can also just test out things and see how they work for you. You can just try to style them separately and then see how they work for you. We can do a whole lot of styling, a whole lot. Like I said, I'm just trying to hold myself back from doing too much. So we can put border radius, so that we can give it a radius and say maybe 15 ps. So if we refresh, then we should see that we have radius, something like this, right? And then we can say, okay, we don't need border radius on the header, just the data, and we can do that. Okay, let's move from there. I think we've overflogged this. We should get that now. And, by doing it, you should be able to get exactly what we've done, by doing it, by putting it to practice. But the next thing I want to show us, still on that table, before we leave table, it's row span and column span. We'll write one code, and then I will explain to us how that works. So what I'm going to do now is just to delete this. It's just to delete this, and sorry, I have a call. Okay. Okay, cool. So we're going to look at row span, and I will explain how it works. I will explain how it works for us. All right. So here I will have my here, and inside my TR, I will have my table header. All right. And my table header now, I want to, okay, so let's just do first name, Oh, this lady, wait now, I'll call you back. Sorry guys, just trying to attend to someone. Just a few minutes. Okay, sorry guys. So we just have, so we're going to check, like I said, row span and column span. Yeah. So I will have this, and I will just say name here and th, and here I will say let's ask for name and age. Now inside this, the first one here, I want us to collect both first name and second name, right? Both first name and second name. So I will do column span here, and I will say 2. All right, just pay attention. I'll say 2. So for the name, we want to collect first name and second name. For the age, we just want to pick the age of the person, right? Now what we can do now is to go down. So TRO. And here, we're going to get the first name, we'll get the second name, and then we'll get the age of the person. So we'll get 3 data here. So let's say first name is Prosper. Second name, which is the last name, Johnson. And then the age, let's say 31. Now, you can see that here we have just 2 data, and here we're having 3 data, right? And inside our name, we gave it a column span of 2. So let's save this, and I will explain some more. Then go to our browser, refresh our browser. Okay, we still have the we still have the style. Let's go and work on the style. We will just remove everything here for now. Remove everything here for now. So let's just say table header, table data, and let's just give it width of 100%. Okay. So let's not worry about the border and everything. Oh, the border will make us see what we are looking for. So let's add the border. So let's add the border, just 1 PS, solid black. Okay, something is wrong with our code. Is anything wrong with our code? Not really, but it's not looking good because of the way, because we've not really styled it. But here, what I wanted you guys to see, which is, you know, this guy has taken the whole space. Nothing is wrong with the code, it's just that we've not styled it. Here you see that the name field has 2 column. yeah, has two columns. So name has two columns, which represents the first name and the last name. So sometimes you hear, you see like full name in a form that you want to fill. So this is just a style you use to get full name. If you just want to use one row to get two columns. So one row to get two columns. We know that row is horizontal, column is vertical. So if we're using a column span, we will use our column span to get whatever we want. So for here in our code, you see we said 2. So if we say 3 here, that means we're asking for first name, second name, middle name, and last name. So we can add another TD here, and then we can just, put in here, Moses. Refresh our data. And here we have another name here, right? So full name, the 3 names under one row. And then the age, because we are not asking for another data here, the age is just there. All right, so I thought I should put this out there. So this can also work with the row span, just like we have the column span. So you can also have a row span where you have one row and then you can have as many columns, one column and as many rows as possible under it. Okay, so this is how you can get that using your column span or your row span. So column span and row span. Row span. So if it's row span, then it means you're going to have one column and then 3 rows. All right. I hope that is clear. I hope that is clear. Let me see what we think. I hope that is clear, guys. Is it clear thus far? Any question? Okay, great. Okay. Now let's move on. I want to introduce us to, okay, before we go to div, so let me just introduce us to block level elements. All right, so there are elements in HTML we call block level elements. So, and common block level element in HTML is the p tag, the paragraph tag. We also have another tag that is called the div tag, D-I-V, the div tag. Okay, and these block level elements are basically elements that start in a new line. So if I place a p tag, it's going to start in a new line automatically. If I place a div tag, it will start in a new line. But let's say I use a tag like span. Span will not start in a new line because it's not a block level element, it's an inline element. So we'll have inline elements and we also have block level elements. So apart from the div tag, we have also the address tag, the block quotes, DD, DL, and all that. These are tags that you will come across as you start working. But the most important one I want us to know is the div tag, because we are going to be using div tag a lot. When we start programming proper, we're going to be using div tag a lot. All right, so let's see how we can work with our block level elements. For instance, let's just make use of the div tag. So I'm clear this all the way here. Yep. Let me just separate that so that, and then let's take out the style. So let's introduce the div tag, and inside this div we'll just have something inside. So we can have our p tag inside the div tag. Okay, so we can have a p tag and say this is my test, something like that. The call will end in 15 minutes. Okay, so if you are not done in 15 minutes, you just click the link again to join. Let's say call will end in 15 minutes. So if we are not done, just click the link again to join. So inside our div, we have our p tag, right? Inside our div again, we can have our h1 tag. My website, okay? Inside our div, we can have button, a button tag, and say contact us. Just something like that. Everything here is inside our div tag. So let's save and let's see how this looks like. So you see that we have our header, we have our p tag, and then we have our button inside the div tag. So like I said, our div is like a house. It's a block level element. So you can use that to house as many characters, as many elements as possible. All right. But for elements like span, for elements like DL, you can't use them as block level elements, but you can use your P as block level elements. Okay. I hope that is clear. So let's move proper into div. I just wanted to put this out there. So I mentioned span. So let me just show us how the span tag works. So the span basically help you, for instance, you see things like this when you are writing your test. So I'll just put something else. This is my test, and I'll put the span tag here. Then put the span tag here. So in between the span tag, I'll put click here. To see more. Okay, so click here is between span. So click here to see more. Yeah, there's no space between these two guys. Okay. Now I want us to span, and I will just say color and say red, something like that. Then refresh. So now we've been able to pick out just this one, and we've given it a color. So basically that's what span does. So sometimes you read through a website and you see that at some point you see different color, or you see an underline or something. That's a work of span. So we can also underline the text, right? We can add text decoration, and then we'll add underline there. So we'll get to know a bit about text decoration, or more about text decoration, when we're doing CSS. So that's how you can use your span. I just thought, I mentioned the tag and I didn't explain this. I thought I should explain that to us. And then the button tag, this is button. So button is button. The tag is button. So if you want to have a button, like you have a button in the website, this is how you can just put your button, and then put whatever the button is for. Either contact us, read more, pay now, buy now. So we can give it a name and say pay now. So save, always make sure to save, and then refresh. So now it has changed from contact us to pay now. So that is how the button element work. So let's jump into our div proper. So like I said before, div is a block level element, right? So meaning it can take as much width as possible, and it can also take as many elements as possible inside the same div. So we're going to see that, what I mean by that. So inside our div, we can have as many elements as possible. So let's see what a div is. So div, and this div, we're going to give it a name. So we're going to use a class to give it a name. So class is just to say the name of anything. So we can use anything. So let's use blessing as a name of this div. All right, and inside this div, we're going to have h2 tag here, and we say welcome to my website, something like that. And inside this div, we'll have a p tag and say this is my website. I am glad you find us. Okay, that's something like that. And then let's have what else? Let's have another header tag, but this time maybe h4. Click here to make payment, and here we can have a button, pay now. Okay, so here we have all these elements inside one div. So let me just we don't have a span here, so let me just style the div. So in styling this div, we're going to use the name. Remember, we've given it a name, so we'll use the name. And the name is blessing. This is the name we gave it. So blessing is the name, and then the full stop here, why we added the full stop is because it's a class. So but we'll get to that, don't stress yourself. So let's just give it a background color and say yellow. Yeah. Okay, let's refresh and see what we have. Yeah. So here we have our div. So you can see that our div is carrying all these guys, right? Let's do just small CSS. Let's just add padding to it. It's looking somewhere in my eyes. So let's just add padding. So I'll just put padding on all sides, and I will say 50 PS, something like that. So padding on all sides, so that something like that. We can, yeah, for now we can leave it at that. So this is how the div works. It helps you to build sections. So basically, this is what you will use most in your website, to build sections. Build your Euro section, your About Us section, your Contact section, Services section is the div you will use. So you want to go back and really look at this div and learn about the div. Okay, so like I said, the div can have, we use it for cards. It can have different, we call it cards, different cards inside one div. So you can have a div inside another div, and just play around with it. Okay, guys, I don't want us to join again. I want to believe I've given us enough for tonight. But the video is going to be available hopefully by tomorrow morning for us to watch, or maybe this night. So anyway you don't get correctly, you can just go back and rewatch the video. All right. So any question to us? Do we have a question? Any question? Is it clear? Any question? Great. So no question. So guys, thank you for joining. I'll try and also drop the assignments on the platform, and we'll see again tomorrow, God willing. Have a good night, everybody.